If you're about to buy a new monitor for your Mac, stop right now. Put away your credit card, close that browser tab, and listen very closely because what is coming from Apple's secret labs in Cupertino is going to make every single display on the market right now look like an ancient relic. We're talking about the Apple Studio Display 2, slated for a massive 2026 release, and the leaks that have just surfaced are absolutely mind-blowing. For years, creative professionals, coders, video editors, and everyday Mac users have been trapped in a very frustrating dilemma. You either empty your life savings for the Pro Display XDR, which doesn't even come with a stand, or you settle for the current Studio Display, a monitor that costs over $1,500 yet still uses an old, standard 60Hz LCD panel and features a webcam that was criticized by almost every major tech reviewer on the planet. Apple knows they messed up. They know the competition from Samsung and Dell is closing in fast. And that is exactly why the 2026 Studio Display 2 is not just going to be an update. It is going to be a complete and total reinvention of what a desktop monitor can actually do. The information we have uncovered points to a massive leap in display technology, introducing features we've been begging Apple to include for almost half a decade. Let us start with the biggest, most undeniable upgrade that is going to change how you interact with your Mac every single day. Promotion. Yes, you heard that correctly. The days of dragging windows across a premium Apple display and seeing 60Hz ghosting are finally over. Inside sources deeply connected to Apple's supply chain have heavily indicated that the 2026 Studio Display will finally feature a 120Hz refresh rate. Imagine the buttery smooth scrolling you already get on your MacBook Pro, your iPhone Pro, and your iPad Pro, finally available on a massive 27-inch desktop canvas. This isn't just about making animations look pretty. For video editors scrubbing through timelines and designers working with fast-moving UI elements, 120Hz is a fundamental workflow upgrade that reduces eye strain and makes the entire macOS experience feel infinitely more responsive. But Apple isn't stopping at the refresh rate. The panel technology itself is undergoing a radical transformation. While early rumors suggested Apple might jump straight to OLED, the reality of desktop computing, with static menus, docks, and hours of unchanged pixels, makes OLED burn-in a massive liability for a monitor meant to last a decade. Instead, Apple is doubling down on a highly refined, next-generation mini-LED technology. This isn't the same mini-LED you saw in the early iPad Pros. We are talking about thousands of densely packed, microscopic dimming zones that will deliver true, inky blacks and blinding peak brightness, effectively giving you HDR performance that rivals the $6,000 Pro Display XDR. When you are watching 4K HDR content or color grading cinematic footage, the contrast ratio is going to be jaw-dropping, eliminating the annoying blooming effect that plagued earlier mini-LED iterations. But here is where things get truly insane, and this is the secret weapon Apple is using to absolutely obliterate the competition. The current Studio Display has an A13 Bionic chip inside it, basically an old iPhone processor used to handle audio and the webcam. It was a neat trick, but ultimately underutilized. For the Studio Display 2, Apple is reportedly integrating a dedicated Apple Silicon M-Series chip directly into the monitor. Why on earth would a monitor need an M-Series chip? This is where Apple's master plan for 2026 comes into focus. This isn't just a screen, it's an intelligent hub. By putting an M-Series processor inside, the monitor will be able to handle intensive, AI-driven tasks completely independently of your Mac. We're talking about real-time, hardware-accelerated upscaling. Imagine plugging in a standard high-definition source or a lower-tier MacBook, and the monitor itself uses advanced machine learning to upscale the image to crisp 5K resolution without taxing your computer's CPU or GPU. This built-in silicon also brings us to the elephant in the room, the camera. The original Studio Display webcam was an unmitigated disaster, producing grainy, washed-out images that looked worse than laptops from 10 years ago. Apple was embarrassed, and they are ensuring history does not repeat itself. The 2026 Studio Display 2 is expected to feature a massive ultra-wide 48-megapixel sensor, similar to the main camera on the iPhone 15 Pro. Powered by the internal M-series chip, this camera will deliver next-level center stage capabilities, flawless low-light performance, and cinematic portrait blur that processes instantly on the display itself. You will look like you have a professional DSLR setup mounted to your desk, but it will be entirely invisible, built straight into the razor-thin bezels. Speaking of those bezels, the design language of the Studio Display 2 is getting a major overhaul. Apple is obsessively thinning down the borders to create an edge-to-edge floating glass illusion. The chunky chin and forehead of the current model are gone. The housing will utilize a new, ultra-lightweight recycled titanium and aluminum alloy, dropping the overall weight while increasing durability. And yes, the stand. The stand controversy has always haunted Apple. While they will likely still offer Visa mount options, leaks suggest that a new, highly requested articulating arm will be introduced, allowing you to pull the monitor forward, tilt it at extreme angles for drawing, or instantly rotate it into vertical portrait mode for coding or reading endless streams of text. All of this mechanical fluidity will be perfectly balanced, requiring only the touch of a single finger to adjust, much like the legendary iMac G4, but engineered for the modern era.